Welcome to the FemPrepper channel, where women come to get information to be more prepared. In this video, I'm going to go over some important documents you will want to have copies of to keep in either your emergency kit or your bug out bag. But these are documents that you will want to gather up and make sure you have available in case you ever need them. Let's get started. If an SHTF event happens and you need to quickly evacuate your home, you will want to make sure that you have certain documents with you, or at least have access to copies of these documents. If you need to at some point prove who you are, if when you return to your home you need to provide documentation that you live in that home, then having these documents on hand with you in your possession will help you out in any situation you're trying to make better. I'm doing this video because I found a lot of videos that didn't really go over the importance of having these particular documents with you in case of an emergency or a disaster. They just mentioned to have them, but this will be a detailed, comprehensive list of the items that you will want to have with you and to either keep in a very safe place or to have on you. Let's start off by going over types of organizational tools you can use to organize these documents. There are 3-ring binders that you can keep with divider tabs and sheet protectors. There are also accordion files. Accordion files can be pretty bulky, but if you have a lot of documentation you need to keep organized, they will save the day. There are also peachy folders and report folders, just in case you don't want to have such a bulky item like a 3-ring binder or an accordion file. Make sure it is capable to handle the storage of all of the documents you need to carry. Now, let's go over where you will want to keep these documents. The first option you have is to keep them in a safety deposit box at a bank. I think this might be a great idea to keep some of the original documents that you may not pull out on a regular basis, but to keep copies for emergency purposes, if you need to evacuate quickly and the area is not safe, or you cannot safely get to the bank during a time of SHTF, the bank is probably not the best place you will want to show up at. It will be a bit harder for you to retrieve those documents. There are other options for you. You can store them on a flash drive or an external hard drive. Make sure that flash drive has an encryption on it. If you lose that flash drive, you want to make sure that your sensitive information is not easily accessible. The next option, and the one that I suggest, is to keep a fireproof and waterproof case or a fireproof and waterproof safe in your home. A fireproof and waterproof case are not very heavy, so if you need to grab them in a hurry, they will be very easy to pick up, put in your bag, and run out the door. The next option is a fireproof and waterproof safe. Now, this is the most reliable storage that you can have in your home. There are safes that use a key to open it. There are also safes that use codes to open it. Whichever one will work best for you, get it. You won't regret it. Having the peace of mind that your sensitive information is securely locked away is invaluable. There are some safes that are small enough for you to pick up and take with you, whereas there are other safes that are too big and you will want to just take the information out of the safe and take it with you. Both are great options to have. The first category will be documents that pertain to you and your family. Under this list, I will go over identification documents, personal documents, and financial documents you will want to have copies of. I will start with personal identification categories first. Under this category, you will want to start with your identification documents. That would be your driver's license and/or state ID. You will want to have copies of these and make sure that you copy the front and the back. You will also want to have copies of your passport for yourself and any of your family members. You will also want your Social Security card that has your number on it. You will want to have your marriage certificate or your divorce decree. Also have birth certificates for yourself and all of your family members, and any death certificates you have. The next item will cover personal sentimental items. You will want to have copies of your pictures. Some of us are old enough to not have all of our pictures stored onto the cloud. So make sure you have copies of pictures that you may not be able to easily access at a later date should any damage happen to them. You will want to have recent pictures of yourself and your family members. If by chance someone comes missing, you will at least have a recent picture to ask if anyone has seen this particular person. You will also want to have a copy of all of your accounts, user IDs, and passwords. Make sure this is stored in a very safe place. You don't want this sensitive information to be accessible. Also, if you have any power of attorney papers, you will want to make sure to have copies of those as well. You'll want to have copies of your resume or any employment documentation you can provide to show who your employer is. You will also want to make sure you have copies of your emergency references. Now that would be telephone numbers of emergency services in your area, family members, friends. If you need to evacuate and need to call someone to let them know that you're on your way and you may not have access to your phone, having these telephone numbers will be a great resource for you in order to make sure that you're able to get to a safe place. Last but not least, in the personal section, you want to make sure you have a copy of your evacuation and/or emergency plan. This is very important because if SHTF does happen, then most likely you may not remember all of the details you and your family have gone over. To have a paper copy or access to a copy of the plan will be invaluable as well. You will also want to have your financial documents copied, such as 2 years of your tax return. You'll want to have just the first 2 pages of this, as sometimes tax returns can be pretty bulky and you may not want to have the full tax return stored. You will also want to have copies of all of your credit cards, the front and the back of them. The back has telephone numbers in case you need to contact the bank that holds that credit card if by chance you lose it. You will also want to have copies of utility bills and banking statements or any financial statements you have. There's some information that if you don't have, unfortunately, it will be hard for you to get information on accounts you'll need, and you'll have to provide so much more than if you have all the documentation that they will ask for. The next category is medical. You will want to have copies of your prescription medicines. You will want to have copies of your medical insurance card in case you need your medical record number or a telephone number in order to call your provider. You will also want to have copies of your immunization records for you and, of course, your family members, in addition to any allergies that anyone has. This can be life-saving. And if you know your blood type, add that in there as well. The more information you can provide in case you are unconscious will help out any emergency services or hospitals to help take care of you in the best way. Now, for the legal category, you will want to make sure you have copies of your will. If you have a living will or a last will and testament, you will want to make sure you have copies of those in order to make sure that your requests are being met. You will want to make sure you have copies of your trust documents, power of attorneys, any documents pertaining to retirement, any funeral or plot information. None of these documents are fun, but they're very important to have if you need them. Now, moving on to the insurance category. In this category, you will want to make sure you have policy numbers of your different types of insurance. Now, again, that's medical insurance, home insurance. With your home insurance, you want to make sure that you have the policy number in addition to pictures or any type of inventory of your possessions that you might need to make a claim for. You will also want to have your insurance documents for your car, boat, motorcycle, RV, in addition to your life insurance papers. Now, in the category for your home, you will want to make sure you have copies of your mortgage documentation, your title, your deed to the house. If you own property and have tenants, you will want to have copies of your tenant agreement. Now, if you rent an apartment, then you will want to have your rental agreement and any other documentation that may show that you are the owner or live in your particular residence. Last but not least, we cannot forget the pets. You want to make sure you have current pictures of your pets. You want to make sure you have their immunization records. You will want to make sure you have the ownership papers for your pets. You will also want to make sure you have the microchip information for your pets. If your pet gets loose or lost during a disaster or emergency, then go into shelters looking for them. This will help you to identify your dog. You also want to make sure to keep their shot records up to date just in case you need to put them in a shelter while you have to leave. They will not board your dogs without that very important information. I hope this list will help you to be able to get all of your important documentations organized in case you need it in an emergency. It will take some time to do, but just chip at it one document at a time. And before you know it, you will be done and have all of your important information organized and ready for you to take with you if you need to leave. In the comments below, let me know any important documentation that I may have missed or any unusual documentations that you may have in your important information. If you found any value in this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!